Hi there, and welcome to this video in which I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my personal experience and thoughts around being neurodivergent at this time and the sheer fatigue of being neurodivergent at this time. So if you're new to me, my name is Nicola. I'm primarily a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist, but I identify as being a highly sensitive person, and I'm also a late diagnosed autistic ADHDer. And alongside my yoga teaching and my therapy practice, I create content for other extra sensitive folk like me who are really craving greater wellness and calm and connection for themselves and often for their families and their communities too, so that we can really move away from just surviving and getting by. And that is really a mission that I have in life, is to help share the things that have helped me and that help my children. So let's get into today's topic. So before we do get into it, just a disclaimer really to call out that this is from my experience. I am just one person. I'm just one neurodivergent person, and there's lots of different ways of being neurodivergent and different experiences. But I hope in sharing my experience, it will resonate with many of you out there and we can draw on common threads. I also share this experience whilst fully in the knowledge of the privilege that I have of being a divergent person who is able to mask and who is a white woman in the Western world with the means to share. So, like I say, I'm not going to be able to mirror other people's experiences, but I do want to acknowledge that there are many different ways of experiencing neurodivergence, as well as neurodivergence that also is experienced alongside other minority groups. So I just wanted to call that out because it's really important. So let's start. So the first thing is why are we feeling so fatigued? And first of all, the general fatigue of just being neurodivergent in the modern world. So this is just your regular source of fatigue for the average neurodivergent person. Sensory overwhelm from clothing textures, lighting, busyness. Not that long ago, really, we wouldn't have been surrounded by so many people, either digitally or in real space. We also have an information overload happening all the time through many electronic devices, phones, laptops, the news, still on the telly, etc. So all of that is going to be making us extra fatigued because, of course, with a neurodivergent brain, we take in more information, we process it on a deeper level, and we do struggle to filter it all out. So there is just that. If you are someone who masks a lot, and particularly if you're someone who didn't realise you were masking until later in life, the effort of doing so seems to be increased once you figure out that you are masking. And just masking in and of itself, whether you know you are or not, is effortful. Just having to move through the world in a way that isn't natural to you is tiring. It's like acting. It's like going out and doing an acting job for however many hours a day. Now, also for somebody, if you're late diagnosed like I am, and you've realised this about yourself later on in life, it's a little bit like, when you see something that you haven't seen and then you can't unsee it. Or like after you've given birth to your baby, there's no way you can get that baby back in. And so the effort of masking, I feel increases. It's definitely increased for me. But, with anything, even if you've been, working with a therapist on something else and you've realised, in that relationship, I've been people pleasing for much of it. Once you see something, you can't unsee it. And so the effort of trying to keep up increases and it just can't be done. And that's hard. There's a real incongruence then between how the outside world and people, relationships, etc. have experienced you before and what you can give now. So there's a lot of effort involved in that. And then just trying to exist on a day-to-day level, I think, is harder for neurodivergent people, particularly if, you struggle with some of the executive functions. I mean, planning my family's calendar and routines, etc., takes a lot of effort from me. And I realised now earlier in life, and this was pre-kids, but even when kids did come along, I was running on adrenaline. I was constantly in fight or flight just to run the calendar, keep up with social events, which I probably didn't want to go to in the first place. So yeah, just trying to navigate life. It's very full. Life is very full in the matrix. It's very full. And naturally, we're just not really designed for it. Back however many years ago, we probably knew maximum 50 people, in our villages or whatever. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And the more people we come into contact with, of course, there's all of the interactions associated with that. So general fatigue from just trying to live in the modern world. So that's one main thing. And then I think this is quite a common source of fatigue for neurodivergent people at this point in time. Many of us are doing deep healing work because we're having to, because being neurodivergent at this time in and of itself means that you will be carrying some form of trauma. Simply just the trauma of having to deny yourself earlier in life usually, and all of the messages that we will have been told or kind of absorbed, you're not good enough, you're wrong, you're too sensitive, whatever the message is. Trying to undo all of that is effortful, time consuming, energy consuming, and emotionally intense as well, which is tiring. And many of us are doing that right now. And quite often we're doing that alongside supporting our neurodivergent kids, perhaps trying to raise them in a way that maybe we weren't, with no disrespect to parents, because, you do your best with what you know, and then you do better when you know better, all of that. And we might even be kind of reparenting and re-educating parents too, who might also be neurodivergent, quite likely are. So there's this kind of trap where we're healing ourselves, we're trying to do better for our kids, we're trying to feed that back into the generation before us. Again, really tiring work, carrying a lot, whilst all the time being in a body, in a brain, in a nervous system that is susceptible to feeling really overwhelmed. And I've done a separate vlog about this, but just coping with the world at the moment, there's obviously a lot of heaviness on a global scale, political, social stuff, the environmental stuff, which many of us, especially if you're really extra sensitive to these kinds of things, you'll be feeling the weight of that, feeling how upsetting it is to see certain things on the news, etc. And even if you try and stay away from the news, people around you will be talking about it, will be feeling it, and you'll be absorbing that way. So we're tired. We are exhausted. I am absolutely exhausted most of the time. And so the things that I'm doing help me to replenish my energy when I need it most. I am currently quite tired. The winter has felt really, really long this time around. Not necessarily long, but heavy. Lots going on. And so the things that I've been turning to, which I'll get to in a moment, have been really supportive as a way of just keeping me kind of at a level where I can do all of this stuff. First thing I wanted to say in terms of what to do is just to honour you and say you're already doing great. The fact that you're here watching this video, the fact that you resonate with all of the stuff above, you're still here, you're still showing up despite all of this. So a kind of hand on heart moment. I see you, I appreciate you, and I know it's hard. But then things that you can be doing, if you have not already got a mindfulness practice, I would really encourage you to have one. Mindfulness has been so important to me in helping me to really get to grips with the nuances of my own emotions, because when you feel so deeply and intensely, it can be hard to tease them apart, and sometimes there's no words for what you're feeling. And so mindfulness just really helps me to sit with it and trying to understand it. And also bringing in yoga and breath work. And obviously I'm going to talk about this because I teach it. This is what I do. But I cannot tell you how much better I feel after I've moved my body, after I've breathed, relaxed as well. Because all of this takes a toll on our bodies, our immune system, our nervous system, all of it, digestive system, if you've got a sensitive tummy like me. And so we need these practices. They are not a luxury. They are absolutely essential to all neurodivergent people, I believe. And it's something that my kids definitely benefit from. So if you haven't found a yoga teacher or a place to source mindfulness from, get in touch. Maybe I can support you in finding the right place. But just keep looking. Once you've found a way to practice yoga and mindfulness or weave it into your daily routine, it doesn't need to be very long. It will be so, so beneficial. And then the next thing is to just rest. We're told the 9 to 5, which, is the kind of the way of living, it's just part of the matrix, isn't it? It doesn't really work for many of us neurodivergent people. But if you are existing within the 9 to 5, don't worry about it. But whatever little pockets of time you have, rest as much as you can. And if you're not in the 9 to 5 and you have a little bit more flexibility in your schedule, schedule those pockets of time in, or just when you feel the need to rest. And that's any form of rest. It could be going for a walk and just getting out for some headspace, mental rest. It could be physical rest, having a nap. It could be creative rest, or getting stuck into a special interest. That's often a source of rest for me. So yeah, rest, have it as a priority. And then really importantly, and I think this one's so, so important for us at the moment, is to connect with other sensitive and neurodivergent people, because it can often feel like as a community, we are invisible to the masses. Maybe not in every corner of the world, but I certainly feel that from time to time. And the effort of having to advocate for yourself all the time is so tiring when you're not seen. And so the more we connect with each other, the more we share our experiences, the more we can build kind of solidarity in our community, I believe. And hopefully through that we can gain strength in order to shout a little bit louder and have our voices heard. So they're my thoughts. I would love to hear yours. Pop any comments down below. Reach out to me. I've got lots of resources on my website. Yeah, just get in touch. Let me know what you're thinking and feeling at this time, other than tired, because I know we're all tired. But I hope that was useful. And yeah, I look forward to hearing your comments. And yeah, take care for now.